Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel or becoming a patron at patreon.com/Afterlife Topics. Good evening, everybody. This is Cyrus. Hope everybody is having a wonderful evening, morning, wherever in the world you happen to be. Today I'm talking about this very strange way that I was alerted to the presence of something in my room last night and how that went down. And let's just say that in the old days, if I made a video like this, there's not a lot of ways that could develop into something interesting besides I better burn some sage or do something to get this creepy feeling out of my house or my room. But as you guys know, things have been developed, a lot of developments lately with the work that I do, and so everything has gotten a lot more interesting. So I think you will like today's video. So let's go ahead and jump into the PowerPoint and let's talk about, well, let's talk about this and a few things that have been going on lately. So some news, there's been loads of corroborations happening. For those of you following the Facebook group, if you're not, you should join the Facebook group. It's actually increasing in population quite a bit in the last couple months. If you follow the Facebook group, as you guys know, with the communication that I have going on, and let me just keep one of these out for reference, you know what I'm talking about. With the communication I have going on, it's been a whirlwind of information that I've just been trying to sort out, and it's been stressful. It's also occupied a lot of my time, but again, it's just been a whirlwind. And some of this information I'm receiving, as you've been following this channel, I don't want to be a prophet, and I don't want to be saying this is the truth, follow me, because I'm a guy who's been communicating with otherworldly entities, and so you need to listen to what I have to say, because again, I'm not Bashar, and I'm not channeling Eric. I am hopefully a researcher. Not that I'm saying anything wrong with Darryl Anka or even channeling Eric. A lot of you guys like them, but there's a difference, I think, between trying still to be kind of a researcher and looking at things from that angle and being like I'm a spiritual teacher, whatever the case might be, right? So there's a little bit of a difference, but from a journalistic angle, I want to be able to report information that might be of imminent concern to a lot of us. So the point is I've been corroborating certain words and certain things Elle has sent me, Lorena, with different mediums, other people using the same mode of communication, this or pendulums. As long as it's a communication with a guide, with a higher entity, it's not going to work, and I'm going to reject it if it's somebody communicating with some weird thing living in the attic. The point is that the corroborations, some of these have hit it out of the park. Things that, you know, giving just a word that Elle sent me, being like, what does your team, what do your guides say about this? And then the info I get back is everything she told me about it already that I have in my notes. So other people working with their guides are getting the same info. That to me is a big deal because it's showing objectivity. I can't report on this stuff if there is not objectivity happening. So I think that is kind of a big deal. So with that being said, there's been a lot of corroborations, and if I can get enough, I'll report some of the other wilder, wackier things on this channel, but a lot of it is also going to go into my next book, so I'll talk about that in a second. So it's a whirlwind of information. It's there was some better verifications recently to make up for that crappy day. So if you remember the prior video, I was basically talking about how, you know, someone in the community who doesn't have long for this world, you know, was a bit upset. I was upset. My communicator was upset because they completely got some information. She completely got some information wrong. And as a result of that, it was, you know, it was a real morale blow. And then we tried it again. We tried some other precautions, some other attempts, some other way, you know, some more vigilant attempts to make contact through these methods, and one of the two secret words that my friend here had was correctly identified by Lorena, as in the first try. So just two words, named the first one, and the rods spelled it out. And then her husband on that side verified that my guide was talking to her, and she communicates to him through telepathy and EVP. So that was a big verification on her end and my end, and the fact that the rod spelled out a secret word that he told her really, really helped all of us. Except there's been some difficulty getting the other two words in that little collection. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. But the point is that we kind of made up for that strange or kind of crappier day that we had. So move on. Okay, so support right now is always helpful. This is a strange, fast-paced time for Afterlife Topics. I've been committing so much to this. I'm not really working a day job. If you want to become a patron, it would really help at this point. Also, for patrons, I've been working with the spirit communication and helping people find interest or information about their soul groups or their starseed histories, the ET groups that they're affiliated with. And so people have been giving me really good feedback about that. I've been doing that just free of charge for people all week. But it would be preferable to do this for patrons or people who maybe want to donate to the work I'm doing. I'm only saying this as a fundraising effort because I was about to get back into my work teaching English and doing these types of things, and all this kind of hit me, and I've been focusing so much on this. I just can't do normal work right now, so I basically skirt by on patrons as well as book royalties, which when you have books that have been out for 3 years, I mean, the book royalties, it just, that doesn't really cut it. So basically just savings and what I can skirt by doing this right now. If I get into working full-time or something again, then a lot of this work and the regular uploads and a lot of the, I think, really important communication work I'm doing right now, it's all pretty much going to come to a grinding halt. So, so that being said, so it's a great time if you want to become a patron, help out. If you don't want to see this work stop, then you can book me for a consultation. We can work on trying to find your starseed information or past lives, that type of thing, with myself and my communicator. Now, if you don't believe in this and you don't trust it, that's also perfectly acceptable. I think all the info, even if I give you direct knowledge about these things, that's where I'm going to be different from other people who would want to milk something like this for money. Really, I'm just saying take it with a grain of salt, take it as an interpretation, and then cross-verify it, cross-corroborate it with other people, and don't make a religion about it. It's just an interpretation that maybe it's going to be spot on accurate, maybe it's not, but ultimately, the main thing that I'm doing here is trying to compile all of that into what is going to be book number 3. So book number 3 is probably going to be epic. The kind of information, the stuff that's coming in, the stuff I'm corroborating, it's just really nuts right now. And that's what's taking up so much of my time, because some of this information is just, it's my mind being continually blown as I try to get answers to a lot of these mysteries and questions about the other side that I've struggled with for so long. And so there's a lot of crazy stuff coming together right now, so that's why it's a whirlwind situation. So special thanks to the Afterlife Topics team. This is actually a big community. We have numerous people, Brian, Ray, Belinda, working behind the scenes as well to keep the group going. And so just a special shout out to you guys, as well as everybody else and the active members of the community as well. All right. So all that's out of the way. Let's go ahead and jump into some strange things last night. So I was sitting at my computer, and I felt this creepy sensation come over me. Right, so I had this creepy feeling come over me, and I felt like I was being watched. So I already had a long day, and I've been doing this kind of work all day. Didn't know, I was hoping that maybe something like this would not happen. But here I was, and then had this weird feeling come over me. And then I looked over my shoulder at my bed because something told me to look that way, and I just noticed. I'm just pointing at the screen. There's this, my pillow, which you can see. Obviously, my bed's very messy. I don't have a girlfriend hanging around and making my bed, or helping me unscramble my thoughts or be more organized. So I know that's what my bed looks like. But there's something funny about the pillow, right? So let's take a closer look. It might not look like that much to you, but you see the black crease up top and the indentation around here, and it kind of moves downward to the symmetry. It looks like a nose and a mouth. I'm like, that looks like a face. Is there a face in my pillow? But it wasn't just that. Like in the old days, I'd see something like that, and then I'd kind of like ignore it, be like, well, why do I feel creepy? It must just be my imagination messing around with me. So nowadays I have this communication line open, so I'm like, something's weird, and I'm just staring at this pillow, and I feel like there's some kind of shape, or there's something going on, like it's a person's face, and I feel a presence in my room. So I whipped these out and began a communication, and basically L responded by saying, "There is a person in your bedroom, Cyrus," and this is being spelled out using the rods, and I'm like, "Come over here and help me." So Lorena came into my bedroom, into what we call the near earth plane, and I felt another presence now next to me by the chair, and it was a little bit of a cold shape, and I realized that this was Lorena in the room with me, and I had her point with the rods in the direction of where this man was, and it was by the end of the door, or by my closet over this way. So I began getting information being transcribed by Lorena. So I'm going to keep his identity private so no one bugs his family, but I will call him John from Phoenix, Arizona. Passed away 1 week ago. Basically extreme lung damage, mostly from drug abuse. U.S. Marine Corps guy. Walking by, kind of lost after he passed away, and he saw an enormous light coming from my window, and this is what triggered him to come to me. So I called Lorena over. Lorena told me that this type of thing is common with me because of the light I emit, and so they're always hanging around me, but I haven't been able to see or notice them until now. I actually have something I can do about it because I can call her up. So that's changed a little bit now. If I felt creepy in the past, I just let it go. But now, I have a little bit of a hotline, so I was able to figure out what was going on. So I began having her communicate with this person, and this gentleman, young man, 29 years old, and I got this guy's Facebook page. I wasn't able to confirm that he's passed away because the Facebook page was pretty much completely inactive, but his picture was on it, and I also had spelled out through him his mom's email address, so I got that down as well. So with those two things, I also had this long conversation with him. So the communication with him, it was about keeping it light and relatable. I told a lot of jokes. I was talking about what video games do you play? And he said like Madden, and I didn't know what system it came out for. So he said the new Xbox has a new Madden game. I was joking a lot about you can see Lorena next to me. I'm like, dude, I'm so envious of you. You can see her and I can't. So I'm like, so how beautiful is she on a 1 to 10 scale? What are you going to give her? And so this guy was joking around. He's like, well, I'll give her a 9. And I was joking. It's like, we men, we always save 10 for like some mythical, beautiful woman that doesn't really exist. So we can never say like, oh, she's a 10, because we always have to that's always the unobtainable goal, right? And so he was really laughing about this. And look, I'm joking around like this on purpose because the guy's confused and upset and lost. So I basically give a full rundown to this guy about where he is, what's going on, this interdimensional thing that happened to him, that not to panic, it's normal. That where he was like nowhere land. I told about the film Ghost with Patrick Swayze. Like, have you seen this? He said yes. I said it's kind of like a documentary. I gave him a rundown, like, there was this other version of this planet that you haven't been to yet. I showed him the back of my book. You can see the two Earths on the back of the book, and this concerns our Earth and the fifth density astral Earth. And I'm like, all the fun is here. I'm like, if you think Lorena, who's with you right now, is angelic and beautiful, well, there's a lot of very beautiful women over there, and that's pretty much where the party is at. And now he's like really excited, and this is the goal: get him out of being confused and get him excited and interested in crossing over. So this continued for a while, and I gave him a lot of rundown on some of these concepts, and kind of just trying to direct him to, like, look, the way it works over there is, everything that's good here is better there, but the things that are worse here can even be worse there. So it's all about being kind to people and expanding your love for others, and all that stuff pays off dividends. And then you can start to look like Lorena here. You don't have to age. You can stay looking like however you want to do. You can do whatever you want, and you can have an amazing life. But just don't get caught up hanging around losers. And he really agreed with me about that. So when the time was right, I basically brought it back to Elle, and she was ready to take him into the other side. So this isn't like, go to the light, you are an earthbound entity, renounce your material attachment and go to God. I'm not saying people don't go into the tunnel and see the light and see God, because Lorena, my communicator, did. So when Lorena passed away in 1921, she described her death process to me using the rods, and she described going through a tunnel with a light and floating in as a young girl, and then coming out into an environment filled with luminous buildings. She said luminous sights and jeweled buildings is what these things spelled out, as she went into this higher astral plane, what we call the sixth density. Very, very beautiful environment. And just like NDEs, except in her case, she never left because she really had passed away. For our friend John, it wasn't quite so luminous, because we're talking about the middle astral, the fifth density. So in this case, no great tunnel and light has to open up like the end of Ghost. In this case, Lorena just takes him by the hand and phases him into the fifth density. Now, what happened from then? The last thing that he asked me is like, the last communication I got is that this John guy was like, which way to the train station? I need to get back to Phoenix. And I said, bro, what train station? Because in this side, you can't connect with anything. This is no man's land. Okay, you're in between places and there's nothing here. But if you want to get to the train station on the astral side, Lorena can take you there. So that's what she did. So I talked to Lorena about this, and the protocol is, you think, how does a guide, and I refer to Lorena to him, and trying to figure out in terms he can understand, as an archangel, because in essence, her level of advancement and power would be what a normie would conceptualize as being an archangel. And so how would an archangel from a higher density realm come and help someone who's earthbound? In this case, she brought him to that world and gave him a bunch of cash. You don't hear about this very much, do you, in the New Age books? You don't hear about this in the TV shows where the medium comes into the house and is like, I will now help them cross over and move into the light and make sure that my guides come with a suitcase full of cash and supplies to get them started. Like, apparently this is really how it works out, because on the fifth density, it can be so much like this world. You still got to pay for things with cash, until this is the same stuff that I've noticed and talked about on this channel through astral projection for many years. And so I've already talked about all this, until you begin to realize the cash is kind of worthless, and then it becomes a barter thing based upon value and knowledge and all that kind of stuff. But just starting out, you need some cash, and which is the rough exchange of value if you don't have anything else of value to give on the astral side. So she took him in, and I talked to her the next day, and Elle said, I feel very thoughtful about that whole situation and how much we were able to help him. She gave him money, supplies, and helped him get back to Phoenix, Astral Phoenix, and begin his new journey. And she's like, the guy was really understanding, which I think I read between the lines, being like earthbound, and not always as understanding as our friend was. And caught on immediately. I think it's because the guy's a Marine, and most Marines I've ever met, for them it's about adapt and overcome new situation, adapt to it and overcome it, and carry out the mission. So one of the things I did is I pretty much gave him a mission. I told him to report back to me because I had to get into his psychology as well and understand, what makes the most sense to him, and then make it into a real mission. So I've been working on things with Elle concerning some real issues going on that we actually need people to help with those issues. And this guy who came up to me, well, he can work indirectly in a sense, well, even directly actually, with me and Lorena, because Lorena works for almost what you could consider to be like a military type of operation on this much higher level when it comes to preserving the integrity of like the world we're in right now. And so John could really relate to that, and I set him up with a little bit of a mission, and he can really relate to that as well. And it gave him that purpose and that energy so he can go into the other side with that strong idea in mind. And so Elle was very happy about all of it, and so very, very successful. It wasn't like go into the light and whatever. It was, just real life. It's just, I think it can just be a lot more practical than we imagine that it is. So let's wrap things up by explaining the face. What happened? Why was there because you might look at this and be like, some of you guys in the comments can be like, there's nothing there. You're full of crap again, Cyrus. That's not the point. You're thinking in a limited way if you're thinking like this. The point isn't that. The point is that I got a sixth sense telling me to look at my bed, look at the pillow, and then I saw that weird shape, and I got a strong feeling like there was somebody in the room with me, and that pillow was signaling to me, right? And even if it was just a rough kind of possibly you could interpret something there, but easily you could play it off as your imagination. What was going on? So Elle explained that our guy John had no concept that he was leaving like a transfiguration image or something like this in the wrinkles of a pillow. She said that this relates to his higher self, higher levels of his being that were trying to get my attention, right? So that was the point, is that let's say John here had a higher self operating from behind the scenes, trying to figure the situation out. So they're activating my sixth sense and activating this shape on the pillow, kind of sculpting his face a little bit and getting me to look at it, and basically that's the way of sending a message, sending a signal out that check this out, Cyrus, there's someone here that need your help. Because I would have never known otherwise if there was somebody on 5th density or high 4th density, which would be this middle near earth astral level, because you don't notice them unless you're a medium, and I'm not a medium, you understand? So I can now work through these, getting this in between, but I don't have the ability I'm not Suzanne Wilson. I can't just know that there's somebody in the room with me. But I'm happy with how that turned out, and I'm happy with the approach that me and Elle used to help this guy, and how it all turned out. So so basically, I guess this was the next slide. It's about the misconception territory of how these things operate. Because I think on an individual basis, we have to get into their psychology and make them really comfortable and cool with what's going on, because I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have worked if this dude, if I looked at him, it's like you must go to God. Like, this guy didn't even believe in God or anything like that. He wasn't religious. He was very cynical about that type of thing. You can't be like, you must go to God. You must go into the light. That's not going to work. You got to talk to them one-on-one and get a sense of the kind of person you're dealing with, especially based on their age and who they are and what kind of person they were. So that is it. All right, so leave in a comment down below and let me know what you thought of this, if you've ever had a similar experience like this. And basically just what your thoughts were about this experience. Very surprising. So much surprising, weird, and crazy stuff going on right now. I'm telling you, this is some kind of apex going on of afterlife topics. Not even, hopefully not apex, then it goes down after that. It's more like this is a increase. This is things speeding up a little bit. And we're going to see what direction that keeps going. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next video.